Ooh. Hello. Good morning. Can I react to my? I can't. Hi. I was at work today and I got a little bit of inspiration for a reading style. I'll say a style because it's not a spread, but I guess it could be. I got inspiration for a spread. Um, and I was going to read it by modality, so like cardinal, mutable, fixed, or by element. But I'm too tired for all that. And well, let's see. I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Kirsty, good morning, afternoon, good afternoon. I wish these would like stay put. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's fine. There you go. Just mess it all up. I encourage responsible consumption of mind, body altering substances if you so choose. This video is not sponsored by anything but depravity. I'm kidding. Um, so, anyway, I think I will. I'm going to write it down so that I remember because I'm likely to forget. I feel like I'm at a real interesting point in life. You know what I mean? Just like there are some times where I feel that life encourages me to make a change. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm being encouraged to do something. We'll see. It's like that's one of the ways that the universe gets me on the same page as it. Because sometimes I got a lot of like, I don't even got to talk about the Taurus in my chart. I'm just the type of person that can get comfortable and complacent. And sometimes I'll get comfortable or complacent, or sometimes I'll need like an extra push to be motivated. And so there may be like a little friction that I encounter in life. And that friction makes it easier for me to do something that might require a little bit of movement, especially if I've fallen into like a lull or I've fallen, like if I've gotten comfortable. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but I feel like there are times when it's like that's something that the universe conspires with to get me to like consider something or to stand available for something. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the Eve, good morning. Hi, how art thou? So this is gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be high low frequency. Basically, I was at work and I stepped outside of one of the rooms and it was like before I put my earplugs in and it was so noisy. But then I put my earplugs in and it dulled the noise. And they're the type of earplugs that have like a hole in the canal. So you can still hear people talking, but it cuts out all the noise. And so it reminded me of like high pass and low pass frequency, bandwidth, whatever thingies things that filter out the noise so that a message can be communicated. And then I was like, oh, I could pull cards around that. So that's what we're going to try to do. I don't know how I'm going to get the number. I might just shuffle. I might just shuffle until I feel ready to stop. But there's going to be a card of us. And then before and after, it's going to be like the 2 ears. So I'm going to use the Astro Matrix Tarot as the us. And then I'm going to use the Spencer's Tarot cards as the so the card I'm going to pull before and after in this deck, the cards that come before and after in this deck. Oh, I guess I didn't think about that. So the card, maybe that's what I'll do. So the card before and after are going to be the conversation, the thing that we're trying to hear. And then maybe I'm not going to do that. Because there's like 2 different ways, at least for now, that I want to read this. I wanted to read it one way where we kind of just like look at everything and then we put in the earplugs and see like what's noise and what's like the thing that we need to hear. Because sometimes it can be difficult to differentiate, or sometimes if you're not wearing the earplugs, the noise is so loud that you can't hear what the person is saying at all. So it's like, does the noise drown out the whatever? That's one way I wanted to read it. But then I also wanted to read it in like the way of like, this is the message and this is the noise. So basically where we already know what the noise is in the second one versus if we don't know what the noise is in the first one. But since I'm going to be reading it this way, we're going to know what the noise is. So I'm going to pull before and after the cards that come before and after the middle card, the significator card, if you will. So the cards immediately before and after will be, that's what like, it was like a whole thing kind of in my head, but I'm like too tired for all that. And I honestly, honestly, I should either be sleeping because I go back to work tonight or packing because I haven't even started yet. But it's not going to take long. So I'm going to do before and after as the message. And then I'm going to pull one more before and one more after, and that's going to be the noise. Now, I was going to do 2 because we have 2 ears, but I don't know. You know? Let's just start flowing with it and we'll see where it goes. Also, I was going to make a community post, but it wasn't until the day after I went live last time, or the last time I was live, the 5 of Swords came out in the after tarot, and it was pointing to like Archangel Gabriel. Like I was also going to pull before and after the archangels and the Spirit Keepers tarot, just to see like, and now we get blurry, just to see like what's up. Can I do that here? No, maybe not. Anyway, so I was just thinking about that 5 of Swords, and then it brought back to my recollection that the 5 of Swords actually came out. Like there was a brief period of time where the Five of Swords was coming out as a message of like us feeling like we have to do way too much. It's like it was the energy of having to focus or having to invest too much effort, or it's like what may seem to others as investing too much, but for us it was the right amount. And then also towards the tail end, or so these last few readings, it's been like whatever you've accomplished was not necessary. Like you didn't have to take it that far. You didn't have to be that whatever you were. And then I was like, oh, that was the Five of Swords. Like doing more than is required, doing more than is necessary, going above and beyond. And then it was that energy of recognition. So it's like, it's this thing that's been read over years, apparently. And now the dots are connecting, and, you know. So anyway, I just remembered that the Five of Swords, I was like, oh yeah, that was the card of like, it may seem that like this is more effort than you should need to exert, but it's necessary. Anyway, so. Ooh, look at this. Oh, two cards. The Six of Wands and the Two of Swords. First I saw the Six of Wands. This is like a victorious no matter what type of energy. It's like literally it doesn't matter what comes your way at this point. You're going to win because you're a winner. You're going to be victorious because you are the champion, my friend. Anyway, so. Ooh, and now the sun is at the cut with the Four of Swords. A what? All right. So we're just going to cut this. I wish I could do 4 of these. Blocking out the noise. Oh my gosh. I didn't even, I'm so tired. I didn't even catch that. Thank you, Eve, for being here. Literally. I'm just going to go with how I feel. It is my personal belief, especially when I get in spaces like this, when I get into that super flow, and by super flow, I mean like when I stop caring. Whenever I start to give this spiel, I feel like we're going there. This is me making the intention or whatever known, right? So I feel that whatever we need to see in, like, I feel like spirit can communicate whatever, whenever. So like I could literally not shuffle the deck. I could literally just pick up a card, pick out a card, whatever, and I would still pull the exact cards that I need. So I don't always have to worry so much about how I get there. Oh my gosh. See, I told you, whenever I give that spiel, it's like, that's why I do it. Because every time I'm like, I'm just going to pull this card. I'm just going to pull that card. I'm just going to pull this card. I don't even care. It's like always like, oh my gosh. So I was literally just talking about the Five of Swords, right? And how the Five of Swords was like, there was a point in time when it was like, the Five of Swords was coming across as, for whatever reason, you're in a period of time where it's for you to like to do more, maybe more than you would have done in the past. Maybe other people might think it's a little overkill or it's a bit unnecessary, but for you, like, it's just for whatever reason, the assignment should you so choose to accept. And the Five of Swords is literally right here on the table. Um, excuse me. So two of these cards I just saw in the Slay card. I love that. Two of these cards we just saw in the Sagittarius season, I believe. So Strength came out, and I used this deck. Strength was at the bottom of the deck, and it's probably because of the Five of Swords. So in Sagittarius season, the way that it was reading was it's like Scorpio season had our eye on the prize. And while our eye was on the prize, there were things that we did, things that we made it through, things that we overcame because we had a bigger picture or a bigger goal in mind. So it's like, let's say you experienced a tower or you experienced some kind of whatever, but it's like, you know that there is something greater. And so you just kind of like suck it up and you keep going. And it was basically Scorpio season was this energy of like, we put in so much work, or we did so much, or so much accumulated in Scorpio season that moving forward, it's not going to be, it's like we can get a lot farther with a lot less effort. And Strength was at the bottom of the deck as like you don't even have to try. Basically, you went through an elite, hardcore training program to get ready for like a marathon. And now the marathon is like super easy because you were training harder than the actual race. And then the last card in, I saw the sun at the cut, and the red flag of the sun made me think of that reading too. The last card of Sagittarius season was the King of Wands, and the King of Wands is here. So as I was like cutting the deck and as I was doing the spiel, there were 4 cards. 2 cards are us in the middle. The card before is the King of Wands. The card after is Strength. Both of these cards that came out for Sagittarius season in the Sun transiting Scorpio in the Sagittarius video. So appropriate. Now the 2 cards in the middle, the first one is the Five of Swords, the one I was literally just talking about. And the second one, it's another angel. It's not Judgment though. This time it's Temperance. And we see the doves. How many doves? I don't know. I should have put my glasses back on. I can't tell if that's a third dove. There are 3 doves in the Seeker. In the SKT. Yep, that is a third dove. Wow. Across different decks. That's crazy. 1 dove, 2 doves, and the third one is right there. The last time I used the SKT, it was the video that at first I titled it, Seeking the Seeker of Secrets Kept Initiated. And it was with what I went looking in the deck, right? This is also the Archangel of Glory. In that, and I was feeling like, and the Archangel of Glory was was in the same trio or triad as that Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords came out with that 6 of Wands. But it was like the Archangel of Glory and the Golden Shield are playing a role. But I couldn't see what it was then. Now I'm like, I feel like they're next. And this was the card of like basically us being recognized by the Archangel Commander as like, congratulations, you used your sword to do the thing that I was hoping you would do. Instead, like the thing that you were asking me to do, like, congrats, you did it. Now, da 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 da. It's like you had to use it properly in order to unlock it as something in your arsenal, as a tool in your toolbox. It's like some video games. It's like there'll be a section of the game where if you get a new item or a new power up, there'll be like a little tutorial phase. So it'll be like an actual puzzle or an actual fight or an actual whatever. But it's like when you first get it, it kind of walks you through how to use it. And then after you like complete that little tutorial phase, you unlock it to use whenever, wherever. So here's our Archangel of Glory type energy. It's the same space, the King of Wands. And again, this is the one that has accomplished the task of the Archangel Commander, King of Swords. This could even be like, I mean, there's a whole bunch of layers to this, and I feel like I'm going to be here for literally hours. So take it as it resonates, you know. For me, I use take it as it resonates also to mean like this goes deeper, but I'm not necessarily going to like continue to read all of the deeper ways that this could go. That's for you, your guides, your intuition, your journey. Continue to unfold it, right? Take it as it resonates also means if this don't like resonate for you, don't take it. You know, take it as far as is appropriate for you. There you go. So this is actually like pretty cool. Now this angel, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pull up that deck, but let's see if it's in the picture. Ooh. Yeah, there she is. Hey, I can zoom in. Can you see the three? So there's one dove at the bottom, and then there's a dove here and a dove there on the keeper card, and then there's three doves on this temperance card. So yeah, she was the one that came in between the emperor and the chancellor in reverse when I was talking about the North Node, Aries, South Node, Libra, whatever I was saying about it. Oh, this is no. I was gonna say this is the Aquarius Leo axis, but it's literally Leo and Leo. Fixed fire in the King of Wands. It's court card and major arcana Leo. Venus in Aquarius is the Five of Swords. Uh, I feel like there are so many like. I feel like this is so rich, but I probably won't take it there. It's fine. This is more than a bargain for. Kinda. There's also something of. I feel like I haven't talked about this temperance card at all. It's interesting that this temperance has Scorpio and Leo in the eagle and the lion. And this temperance card, she's pouring water and fire into this cauldron of life, and stuff is happening. Let's see. So I'm going to look before and after the King of Wands and before and after Strength. Oh, cards keep coming out. So we've had the Five of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, and the Eight of Cups. Come on. From this moment on, now I'm going to give a different spiel. Any card that reveals itself is discounted. And I'm going to give it, if you reveal yourself or if you flip over, you're going to be removed. I'm going to have 3 shuffles. Wow. This kind of worked against me. It didn't work against me because it's all a part of the message. There's one card after I gave the disclaimer. There was one card that flipped out, that is discarded, and it's the Strength card. So whatever the message of strength, I don't know. I can't pull before and after the card now because it just removed itself from the equation. Also, the interesting thing about strength is that there was the lion that came out in a spread. And wasn't it the lion that was like sitting patiently waiting? I'm pretty sure it was like the lion wasn't going to do something for us, that it was like there because it was important for us to do something. Okay, so we can get half the message. Sometimes, half of the message is whatever. Oh, wait, I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to look before and after the King of Wands. Wow. Top of the deck, 3 major arcana. The World, the Emperor, and the Chariot. Ouroboros, the Sphinx, and the Centaur. So again, just like these 2 cards came out for Sagittarius season, we have the card, or the Chariot in this deck is a Centaur, which is Sagittarius. The Ouroboros and the Sphinx is interesting, though. I feel like there is something about a higher perspective in this, and a riddle, something unseen. And then, of course, I think about the Strength card that came out. Like, we're already only going to get half of the message. Also, again, the Emperor came out either before or after the Keeper upright. I just showed it to you. I guess I didn't show you the Emperor. I showed you the Keeper. There you go. There is the Emperor right there. See that? The Emperor. In this deck, it's a Sphinx. And it's like, in this Ouroboros, there's this figure 8. And so it's like, because this Ouroboros configured itself in this way, this section down here is completely separate from this one. And this is interesting because I was looking for something at work and I remembered the CC11 spiral because I saw another. So the first time I saw the CC11 spiral, and when the CC11 spiral became a thing that I read about, it was in the front where everything sort of like goes to from like where it's produced to where it gets shipped out. But this time I was where it gets shipped out. So I saw where it comes down. And I guess there was the as above, so below. Because it was like as below, so above, as above, so above, and then as above, so below. And there was something in that that was able to move something that we can't move from below to below. But anyway, I saw that where it comes down, and I was like, "Oh snap!" I mean, I guess I was just like, "Oh, I remember when I saw one of those and did the CC11 spiral." Now I'm like, "Oh snap!" And I feel like the fact that this is a sphinx is so appropriate. Interesting. I'm pulling these off the top. The Tower, the Star, and the Five of Wands. So the first five cards, major arcana. All right, let's keep going. We're looking for the King of Wands. I can't keep you lovely folk here all day. Oh, we found the King of Wands. Oh my gosh. So outside, it's the Empress and the Magician. And then the Brownie. And the Brownie came out in the Mystical Creatures Oracle as the like, even when we don't know why we're doing the work, we're still doing the work type of energy. The Brownie is the one that continues regardless. The Six of Swords is noise. And the Harpy was at the bottom of the deck when I showed you this deck. I was like, and I'm going to use this one for the noise and the message. Let's see. I kind of want to put these face down. I was pulling off the top. So half of the message is, well, a quarter of the message, because we're already at half, is revealed. The King of Wands in this deck is Anubis, which is interesting because on the other side of that Emperor was the Chancellor in reverse, was Justice in reverse. And I was talking about the scales of Anubis. Literally like the heart and the feather in this depiction, right? I can't zoom anymore. But I'm pretty sure she's like literally has the heart and the feather. Yeah, that's not going to help. The message is the Mandragora, Ace of Wands. I feel like the message is that of a living world. And the Necromancer is at the bottom of the deck. This is interesting. It's interesting because the Necromancer in the SKT Revelations is the moon card, and it has Anubis on it. There's a lot of references to the Spirit Keeper's Tarot here. I kind of love it. Oh. Yeah, y'all are putting the pieces together today because my brain is. I got one more day before I'm gone. Okay. But I feel like this is like a living world. See, what's interesting about this, the Six of Swords is noise. The message is the Ace of Swords. The Six of Swords is noise. This is interesting because it's like, in a way, I'm not going to say it is this, but in a way, I will be gone for 11 days, technically 11 days, because I leave on the 7th and I'll come back on the 18th. So I'll be back a week before Christmas. Excuse me. So it's like, again, like to my brain, this is just the easiest way to communicate it. It's not necessarily the message, but it's like, so the message would be 5D Earth and the noise would be ascension. Because the Six of Swords is about sailing to calmer waters. The Six of Swords is about movement from basically an undesirable place to a desirable place, from an undesired state to a desired state. But this is noise. And that's why it's like it's interesting because these energies are like very similar, but it's like this is the actual energy itself. And that's the like how we get there, how it comes to be, how we manifest it or whatever. I was trying to guess, like, I was going to try to see if I could feel what the other half of this message might be. Well, let's look at the noise first. It's the Ten of Swords. Oof. This griffin is interesting. The griffin is interesting because I had a dream about a griffin. I've talked about this dream before. But I had a dream that I was going somewhere with some girl. There was some lady behind me, where we were traveling by Griffin. So we were on this Griffin, and the Griffin was like taking off, and I was like, I gotta go and do whatever. And the girl was behind me, and she like was starting to pass out. And I'm like, are you okay? And I guess the air was like really thin. Okay. Hopefully, I will be done by the time you get to work. And hopefully, I will be asleep. I'm kidding, kind of. Um, so the griffin was like, it's like the air was too thin for the girl. And so I was trying to do some like air magic to put more oxygen in the air because I guess the oxygen was thin. It's like we were at a high altitude and we were moving very fast. And the oxygen was too thin in the air for the girl, so she was about to pass out. And I tried to like put more oxygen in the air, I guess, so that she wouldn't pass out. And I can't remember if she like fell off the back of the griffin or not. But it's interesting that again, it's like because in that dream we were moving at speed, and the noise is like this ascension. The noise is the Six of Swords. The noise is this movement from one to the other. And then there's that Ten of Swords as the other part of the noise. So almost, and because this is the King of Wands, it's almost like there's a reason why the Five of Swords was necessary. And that was the thing about the Five of Swords, right? That was the metaphor that I gave. It's like you train harder for the marathon than the actual race. So that by the time that you have to run the race, it's like nothing. But if you don't train for a marathon, it's probably gonna be not nothing. There's a possibility where it can be more than the body can take. What's the other half of this message? Hanuman, the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is actually my pre-strength card, isn't it? I can't remember why. I felt like it was in the Witch's Tarot. The Seven of Wands is minor strength. The Knight of Wands is pre-strength, and then strength is like full major arcana strength. But the Knight of Wands is my pre-strength card, just like the Queen of Cups is the pre-High Priestess, and the Queen of Pentacles is like pre-Empress energy, and the Nine of Pentacles is like minor Empress. I actually just not too long ago educated myself a little bit on Hanuman. Still barely don't really understand a thing. Still don't really understand anything. But it's interesting that minor strength or pre strength is here. It's interesting that pre strength is here and full major arcana strength took itself off of the board. This is almost giving me like way back. It's almost giving me page 2.0 energy. So like this is a Knight 2.0. And what was it? I feel like that was early 2020. I really feel like that was early 2020, where it was like about page 2.0, because it's like the king and queen had gotten really comfortable in their understanding of whatever, but the world had changed. The way that things work had changed. Energy or whatever had changed significantly enough that the old mastery was like outdated, basically. And it's like there was a new way of doing things because there's more that was like open or more that was available or just like different. Like it's a different season. You're not necessarily gonna treat winter the same way you do spring, right? Depending on what you're growing, I guess. But like for every season, there's a different part of the growth and cultivation cycle. And it was like to continue to act like things are as they have always been is to probably encounter significant frustration because it's different. And that's why like the pages were actually high and the kings and queens were low. It was the page 2.0. It was the king and queen that was like, you know what? Like things have changed. And if I want for my kingdom to continue to thrive and succeed, I'm going to have to adapt because this isn't a change that can be weathered. And again, it's making me think of the emperor that was the Sphinx. The Sphinx is riddly, like it's not as straightforward as one would think. And I wonder if that's why strength has taken itself off of the table too. Anubis and Hanuman. Like, is this it? Where do we go from here? Um. So, oh, I can't. I was trying to get clever. I'm trying to like pull the other half of this message anyway, but I can't. I mean, I can always change my mind, but I can't be like, this is how I'm gonna read it. This is the game that we're playing. So like let's use this rule set and then be like, oh, I don't like what I got. Let's change the rules. But I feel like it's significant. Or I feel like there's something there. Strength is off of the strength half of the message we don't hear. But pre-strength is the message, along with the living world. I feel like, and it's basically this energy, like with the noise being the Six of Swords and the Ten of Swords, there's something very like to rush through something is to completely miss the point. Or to rush through something is to miss the magic, or is to not notice, is to potentially not notice that the thing that we think we're going to get later, it's to not notice that it's already here now. Or it's to not notice like the seeds of it or the roots of it. Maybe the roots of it because the mandragora. I guess the mandragora is a plant. So if you water a plant too much or too little, you'll kill it. If you move a plant too much, you can kill it. Like if you continuously like pot and repot the plant, especially not carefully, you can cause it to like go on the shock. I remember when I had a buddy who was the landscape architect at Purdue, and he told me that like trees can go into shock when you like basically transplant them. And he was talking about like the root ball. And I guess like if you move it, like they can go into shock. I was like, what? Trees go into shock? But I was like, okay, I guess it makes sense. Like they are alive. And if you were to just spontaneously uproot something, it's like, well, what's going on here? And the tower did come out after that chariot. The gargoyle used to mean something that I don't even remember. And it's also interesting that, like, of course, the harpy is perched in a tree, but it's interesting that she's in that tree. And again, it's interesting that that's noise, but it's not. So it's almost like the noise of this is so, and I feel like, again, it's the Sphinx of that emperor. The noise is so close to the message. So I feel like it would still be hard to hear because that's how the It's like the high frequency and the low frequency gets cut out, and the middle, the conversational, is what is allowed through. But this noise is so close to like conversational volume and frequency that it feels like the filter doesn't completely block it out. Let's look. I feel like I saw the Seven of Wands, maybe. I'm gonna look before and after the Seven of Wands. No. I'm gonna look before and after the Seven of Wands in the other deck. Am I cheating? Yes. I think I just found my workaround. It's already almost been an hour. So, because major arcana strength is off of the table and pre strength is here, I'm going to pull before and after minor arcana strength to try to build out the message, to try to help us maybe like widen the gap, to cut out the noise, to focus more on the message. And I guess, oh my gosh, look at this. Magician and magician at the bottom of both of these. Cool. I guess I'm pulling from the bottom of the deck this time instead of the top. The Magician and the King of Swords. King of Swords, again, is the space of the Archangel Commander. And the Magician is holding up the wand. The wand being, of course, King of Wands. There was also, I feel like that message came out first in the non-berserking totem animal. And maybe that's the Sphinx of the Emperor. I feel like before it was that, like, before the message, and again, girl, what's happening? Your guess is as good as mine. Take it as it resonates. The way that I interpret it for me and the way that it resonates for me may not be applicable to you and your situation at all. The whole entirety of my being may not be applicable to your situation. You know what I mean? Anyway. But there was the non-berserking berserker. And it was using that totem animal in a different way. And that played on the Gar spear troth, when the spear was more than a weapon. I'm trying to think now. I think I was talking to Raymond about that. It's funny. When the spear was more than a weapon. Anyway, let's keep going because I am trying to go to bed at some point. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was going to mention this card, but I didn't because I was like, the Magician and the King of Swords, the Magician and the Archangel Commander, and then we have the Seven of Swords right under it. The Seven of Swords came out in the Runic Tarot recently. The Seven of Swords in the Runic Tarot for me is very like whatever we lost, we're about to receive better. But we're so busy focusing on the thing that we lost. I mean, I feel like it isn't even that we're busy focusing on the thing that we lost. It's just like we don't know. We don't know that we're about to receive better, or we don't know that it's like when you have a cat. If you don't know that caterpillars turn into butterflies, when you have a caterpillar and then your caterpillar is gone, you're like, oh my gosh, where's my caterpillar? Oh no, what happened? And then you get a butterfly. You can get a butterfly and still be like, oh, I like caterpillars better. Butterflies suck. You know, you could be that person. Take it as resonates. But it's like it's that energy. We Something happens and we don't see it as we used to recognize it, and we think the worst, but it's actually changing, metamorphosizing into its next iteration. It's evolving. But it's an evolution that has like an intermediary step. So behind the Seven of Swords, guess what's behind the Seven of Swords? It's the Knight of Swords. And by the Knight of Swords, obviously, I mean the Knight of Wands. Wait, this isn't the card that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the Seven of Wands because the Knight of Wands is already on the table. But anyway, behind that Knight of Wands is the Two of Swords. Blocking out the haters. That's our, is she wearing earmuffs? Is she literally wearing earmuffs? Is she wearing hearing protection, or is that just her purple collar? I think that's her purple collar. Anyway, that's the earplugs to block out the noise. As Eve just so graciously, LOL to a swords blocking out noise. There you go. Behind the Knight of Wands. Boom. Cool. But that's not the card I'm looking for, so we're going to keep going. Because that won't help me. I already have before and after the Knight of Wands. The King of Wands and the Ten of Swords is before and after the Knight of Wands. That, it gives me a level up challenge. It's like in some games when you go from one rank to another, you have to pass a trial. And the higher the rank, the more difficult the trial is. And I was talking earlier about how in some games, when you get a new item, it takes you through a tutorial where you learn to use it before you unlock it to use whenever and wherever. We're going to keep going because I am trying to get to bed. Seven of Wands is the card that we're looking for. The Sun and the Moon, the Ten of Cups, and the Emperor. They're all together. Oh my gosh. Cool. I feel like I saw the seven of Wands. I'm getting to the top of the deck. Oh my gosh, the cards are spilling. These are literally all the cards right here. It was literally the top three cards. Literally the top three cards. I went from looking, because I was pulling off the top of the deck. But when I went to go look for our connecting energy, we're not going to call it a cheat. We're not going to call it a shortcut. We're looking for a connecting energy. We're following the clues that Spirit is giving us. Okay. So first, I set the rules, and the cards was like, okay, fine, but we're taking strength off the table. And I was like, ugh, I already set up the rules. And just because I got an outcome that I don't like doesn't necessarily mean that I can change the rules of the game after we've already started playing it. So let's get creative. Let's get clever. Magician at the bottom of the deck. Let's use the tools at our disposal to move this forward while still abiding by the rules. And then they gave me, like, again, major arcana strength fell out, but pre-strength is here. And I can use minor strength to try to like, when you plug one ear and you're like, huh? And it was the top 3 cards in the deck. I set these cards up here. I'm glad I did it. A lot of times I'll get a trio of cards and I'll put them back in the deck and I'll be like, oh, I wish I would have kept those out. Remember these 3? The ones that came before and after the Knight of Wands, before and after our pre-strength. So there's the world. Ouroboros is the world, right? Right? Yep. There's the world. Hold up. I didn't even catch this. So in the world card, I said that it feels like there's this higher whatever that we're almost separate from, because this Ouroboros configuration separates this from this. Hold up. How deep is this? How miraculous is this about to be? So that's the Aquarius and the Scorpio. No, Aquarius and Leo. Aquarius, Taurus. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what's the other fixed? How could I forget Taurus? So the reason why I bring it up, yeah, it's the same. Because I was talking about how, again, in this Ouroboros configuration, this is separate. And I was like, well, strength fell out. So because strength came out, and because the emperor is sitting in a space of the Sphinx, like, things are not as they seem. And I feel like that's super tricky. That's like the emperor being the Sphinx is very like, it's it's like being intentionally put in a situation in which it's so easy to like make the wrong choice. It's like someone is constantly, it's like it's planned, it's premeditated. It's like someone comes up to you and they're being so annoying. They're intentionally trying to get on your nerves so that you blow up on them. And then you do whatever because they're getting on your nerves, and then somebody else is recording it and they're like, ha, we got you. And then they try to blackmail you or whatever. We don't have to take the metaphor that far. But it's like that's the thing with strength, or with the emperor being the Sphinx. It's like being put in a position to make a choice and to like express some kind of authority or whatever, but it's not straightforward. So it's very easy to mishandle a situation, basically. And maybe again, that's why major arcana strength is like pre-strength. Yes. Anyway, this goes back to this. The Leo and the Scorpio that are on this alchemical pot. It's 2 out of 4 of the fixed signs. And then I was like, oh my gosh, because here's like the fire and the water down here, the Leo and the Scorpio. And then even on this one, nope, that's Leo and Taurus. Leo and Scorpio would be this way. Oh my gosh, that's like one half of the message. But anyway, that Leo Scorpio, and this one it's like fire and water. So I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't even catch that before. Um, but anyway, the world is before these. Literally the top three cards. It's the Knight of Cups, the Seven of Wands, and the High Priestess. The reason why I mentioned this, the reason why I'm glad I left these out, the Two of Swords is my minor High Priestess. The Queen of Cups is the pre-High Priestess, and the High Priestess is the High Priestess. And I talked about that last time the Two of Swords came out. When it came out, when I was doing the reading with the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. So there is minor High Priestess. Here's major High Priestess. Minor High Priestess is with pre-strength. Major High Priestess is with minor strength. There's something weird here. And it's weird because of that. It's weird because of the reading with the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. Because again, it was basically the King of Wands in reverse, the Queen of Wands in reverse, and the Two of Swords in reverse. It was the Archangel of Glory, the Golden Shield, and the Blind Seer, all in reverse. And I was like, it feels like that plays into this somehow, and I just don't see it yet. The reason why it's weird is because, and did the High Priestess not? Maybe she didn't, actually. I can't remember if she came out or not. I don't think she did. She did not. I mean, I guess she could have been at like the bottom of the deck or something, but anyway. The weird thing is, because it's like, the whole thing was like, it was the Two of Swords with the King of Wands. Right? And the Knight of Wands came out after the King of Wands. And then in the other deck, the Knight of Wands is next to this Two of Swords. So it's almost like there's this, it crosses from one to the other in order to make it so. I feel like I don't even know if I can communicate it. But like, again, this is why the High Priestess is such a tricky energy sometimes, because she has such a knowledge and awareness of like everything, all things, all potentialities, possibilities, and things that will never be. Oh, it's already been an hour. It's so late. I need to get to bed. Now the Knight of Cups. I'm not sure about, just like with that Seven of Swords. I guess I had a context for the Seven of Swords. I don't know if I have a context for the Knight of Cups, actually. So our bridge, our way to keep trying. I think again, there's so much. It's like with the emperor being the riddle, with the minor high priestess coming out. First of all, for the minor high priestess to come out next to priest strength in the first place, and she was blocking out the noise. And the reason why I went looking for minor strength is to block out more noise, because the noise and the message are so close. But then for major, see that this is inversion, and I didn't mention it, um, which is a tricky situation. It's a tricky situation. There's an anime that I watch. There's always an anime or a video game or whatever. But again, I believe that spirit communicates with us through our knowledge, experiences, and even ones that we don't have, and maybe through others, right? Or the internet. So there's an anime where these two, it's like two versus one, and they're like going all in and they're using their strongest moves, and the dude is taking like no damage. The dude has inversion. So basically, the harder you hit him, the softer the blow. And that's what the Emperor, for some reason, the Emperor being the Sphinx made me think of inversion, where it's like it's actually the most powerful to not do anything, to exert great power, or to attempt to hold great authority in a position is to be a fool. And the reason why I say that is because we're stepping down. When it was major arcana strength, there's like no, and that could be another reason why the card got discarded. That's, call it a limitation of the reader. Maybe there is no card with this combination of decks, or there's no combination of cards with these two decks that I'm using that would have communicated whatever that part of the message is. Maybe like I don't have any touch points to it to be able to read it for anybody, because this is already general. It's already use your own discernment and stuff, right? It could be a limitation of the reader, or it's just like I wouldn't be able to communicate it, and so that's why that card came out. It's like, don't even try. But also, it's like as we go from major arcana strength, there's nothing. Pre-strength is the Two of Swords, where we kind of get something. And then minor strength is the full-blown High Priestess. That's where the inversion is coming in for me, because it's like the less strength we show, the more of the message we receive, or the more we're capable of hearing, which again could be a page 2.0. The kings and queens are too set in their ways to do anything in any other kind of way. They're not open. But it's the pages who are. It's like it's the child who listens when all the adults are too busy arguing and making the choices and decisions. They miss the obvious. Interesting. I should have just mentioned inversion in the first place, right? And maybe that's why the Seven of Swords is here, next to the Knight of Wands. especially if I read the Knight of Wands as pre-strength. The Seven of Swords with the Knight of Wands would be one that shows themselves or portrays themselves as weaker than they actually are. But now, and if the Knight of Cups is the one that is delivering something, it's because the message, the cup is being delivered to the lowest form of strength that I have. I mean, I can't go any lower than minor arcana, you know what I mean? Unless I use an oracle deck, maybe, I don't know. But the message is given, and it's like, it's the high priestess. So it's the full blown, and maybe that could be ego. It could be a whole bunch of stuff. Interesting. Nothing at all for major arcana strength, though. So it actually did end up working out. See, and then like stuff like this will happen, and I'll be like, okay, so it was like meant for me. And I already mentioned that before because I have personal context and like I've been reading long enough, I guess, for enough whatever that I can recall like, oh, when I read this one time it meant this. And I try to not, there are times when I try to be more mindful, especially to like not bring in a context just because, right? I try to make sure it feels like relevant to whatever I'm reading to bring it up. Because you can, like, one card can have the same meaning and be read 50 million different ways depending on the context and the situation and whatever. And I was like, I didn't really read the Seven of Swords and Knight of Cups, but now I know why. It's the inversion. We went from the King of Wands to the Knight of Wands. So now, oh my gosh, real quick, I'm gonna shuffle these back together, and we're gonna look before and after the High Priestess and the Knight of Cups. I always do this. Any card that comes out gets discarded. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can stay out the deck. Your presence. Only 2 cards came out this time. The first time the World came out. So now the Ouroboros is discarded. I kind of like this. I feel like this also validates. This is another layer of validation for the inversion. The more we walk back strength, the more presence the High Priestess has. She has absolutely no presence at the major arcana level, some presence at the pre-major level, and full presence at the minor major level. Can 2 majors not simultaneously coexist? Anyway. But with the World card coming out as like whatever comes out as being discarded, it's almost reading like whatever this was that separated these two is like it's being dissolved and now it's open. And then the Devil also came out. So, you know, always glad when this one gets discarded. That's another. Boo. Well, I hope you have an amazing day, Eve. Oh, my drink is gone. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for spending time with me. And I'm assuming this is where you paused. And I'm not asleep. I'm still alive. I failed. I have failed my mission. This is another nod to that last live, though, because as you can see, oh, he got kind of cut off, but the Devil is right there in reverse next to the King of Swords. And when it came out, it was like being devil proof, being immune to the temptation or whatever of devil energy. And it's like, you don't have to do that. That's not like mandatory. And the devil just dropped out. Devil proof, cool, love it. All right, so Six of Wands was the first card. Six of Wands, Two of Swords. Now we're getting to the second part of the message. Because remember, the first two cards that came out was the Six of Wands and the Two of Swords. Okay. Just like validation. Knight of Cups and the High Priestess. Okay. Are we going to have another repeat situation where the cards are like the bottom? Because I am well into this deck. And I haven't seen either one. High Priestess just showed up. So the Eight of Pentacles, oof, the blur. Eight of Pentacles zombie. I love that the High Priestess comes out and I look up and it's blurry AF. Am I going to look at noise? Sure, why not? Two of Cups is noise. The unicorn is noise. The zombie is the message. And then the other half is the Knight of Cups. The High Priestess and the Knight of Cups were right next to each other. I mean, I had that many cards left. I had a feeling that that may be the case, that they would be right next to each other. I love that I can manually focus this. Cool. I've seen this card 3 times and I haven't taken it. I've ignored it every time. And then the Necromancer is back. Seven of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. The Seven of Swords that came out before the Knight of Wands. So self-referential. Oh my gosh. The Queen of Wands is at the other half. So the card before the Two of Cups was the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands was the golden shield to the Archangel of Glory. Anyway. So I feel like this also validates this is interesting. I feel like this also validates how the Knight of Cups, the message is going to the lowest form of strength in my system of reading cards or whatever. And it's the High Priestess because, again, they came out right next to each other. So the High Priestess was the significator. The message of the High Priestess is the messenger. Messenger. She brought him. And then he brings, also because of how this is laid out, everything. Am I going to take a picture of this? Sure. I'll leave it on the table now. Everything before was to the left because strength was on the right and it was discounted. I couldn't build the spread out in that direction. But because the Knight of Cups and the High Priestess were next to each other, and because the High Priestess came out first, all of this is off to the other side. Because she's the anchor point. When you're working at elevation, A is to have an anchoring point, anchorage. The Eight of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. The shaman and the zombie are the message on this side. And the noise is the unicorn and the necromancer. Now, it's interesting that the necromancer is noise because it's like you would assume maybe that's what this is then. It's interesting that the necromancer is noise because I would assume, I feel like it would be safe to assume that the necromancer is the one that resurrected the zombie. But it was actually the shaman and not the necromancer because this is the message, not this. If this were anything else, this could be so like Mercury retrograde, and I know Mercury's in its pre-retrograde shadow. It's like you think that someone is coming back into your life for this reason. That's all, whatever the necromancer is. But actually, it's for this other reason. Or it's like maybe you don't think that they've changed, but they have, or whatever. But this isn't that. So. And then the Two of Cups is also noise. So I feel like because the Two of Cups is noise, now I feel like it plays back on the living world. So we're fine tuning. Oh my gosh, it's been an hour and a half. I'm sorry, I shouldn't complain. Okay. So it's like because the Two of Cups is noise, and because this is noise, the noise on this side is their relationship. The noise is our assumption and belief that the zombie comes from the necromancer instead of the shaman. It's almost like there's this misattribution of power. And that's why, and it's like that's the thing with this. I feel like that ties in over here somehow. Or that's the reason why the noise is so close to the message. The noise is so close to the message because of what we believe or what we've been trained to believe. It's like giving credit where it's not due. So if this were, it has the same energy of like your fear of the boogeyman is what gives the boogeyman its power over you. Or it's like it's because you believe that someone can do something to you that they can. But in that they're not doing it. It's almost like you are doing it to yourself through them. Now, some people and some energies, I guess, will purposefully like position themselves in a way. Even like people, it's like if you want to position yourself as like smart or capable or whatever, it's almost like how you can engineer a situation to make yourself appear to be a certain way, but not actually be that way. And maybe that's why this page 2.0 is important. Maybe that's why the least strong or the meekest is the one that the high priestess seeks out. Or maybe it's just the one that's capable of hearing the message. But again, I'm not surprised because this is kind of sinister. This is like low key sinister. This is like devil energy, and I kind of talked about this recently. When I posed the question, well, I don't even know if it was a question the last time I talked about it. When I was like, they say that the devil knows the Bible as well as the angels do. The lawyer who works to get criminals off knows the law just as well as the lawyer that works to set innocents free. It's the same knowing, it's the same understanding, but it's just applied for different purposes. And like with the devil being off of the table, and with this coming out as the message and the noise, it's almost like the devil doesn't even like devil energy doesn't even have to do anything. It's almost like the devils that we make or the devils that we create are more powerful than the actual devil himself type energy. So the Six of Swords noise, the Six of Swords, Ten of Swords noise is like the trap, basically. Um, yeah. What's another way to read this? If we were to 3D, I almost said 2D. If we were to make this more plain, if I were to look at all of this, look at the messages, there's something here about, I feel like it's the Sphinx Emperor. It comes back to the Sphinx Emperor. There's something here about being knowledgeable but open, because it is the truly wise that can manage a comfort in their knowledge and wisdom and an understanding that there is even more that they don't know. And there's also something about seeing beyond pretenses. The zombie, the necromancer, and the shaman. Okay, cool. Let's get final cards. Let's wrap this up. Let me take a picture first. I don't think I got final cards last time because I ended up taking a picture. I just gotta move this stuff before I take it. Unless you want like a stapler and a hole punch and a webcam in the back. I mean, I guess it wouldn't matter, but it was here the whole time. Why not, right? Okay. Ooh, give me one moment. Let me try to move this over a little bit. It's also interesting because I was thinking like high pass, low pass, like high frequency noise, low frequency noise, and where the actual message is. Um, the interesting part is that the high frequency noise is the Six of Swords. High frequency noise is Ascension. Low frequency noise is the Ten of Swords. So maybe it's just like extremes. That's the noise. I don't know. I have to keep these like this. Another thing that's interesting, and I don't know if this is another like use your discernment, but it's because of the way that I laid this out, the message looks like noise. Because the high priestess brought the Knight of Cups. Hey Holly, how you doing? I am asleep. Because the Knight of Cups came out after the high priestess, like I would read this like the message is the Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. The noise is the Two of Cups and the Five of Pentacles, and this Page of Wands is even more ridiculous noise. But because we know that the Knight of Cups is our other significator, it brings these up together. The Knight of Cups on this side is helping widen the gap, maybe, so we can perceive the noise as such. And it's also interesting that the Knight of Cups is a Jinn in this deck, because that is very be careful what you wish for energy. And that's funny because I sent somebody something. I sent, you know that reel that I sent to you on Instagram, Eve? I sent that reel to one of my friends, and she was like, "Oh, that sounds like a real monkey's paw situation." And that monkey's paw is this Jinn energy. So basically, it was a reel on Instagram that was like, if humans can like summon Cthulhu, then why shouldn't ants be able to summon humans? And it was basically, it was the end of the video where it's like, sometimes the ants will summon you to give them sugar or to kill an ant or to make another ant love them. And then it was like, and the Cthulhu person was like, they asked, it was like, or one of them will ask you to like make another ant love them. And you're like, well, what do you do with that? So you kill all the ants and just leave those two. Or it was like to make the other ant important to me. And it was like, so you kill all the other ants, leave those two. And then the ant looks at you, the one that asked, looks at you and in a whatever tone, like whispers, what have I done? And that what have I done is the monkey's paw. It's kind of high-key devil energy. But that's like that shady, maybe that's the power games again. I don't have the deck, but maybe that's Crown Games. Because with the Sphinx Emperor, it was that like maybe you're put in a situation where you really want to exercise your power and you really want to put your foot down or whatever. But it's not, it's actually a mistake. Because as soon as you do, that's when the dude with the camera jumps from behind the bushes and they're like, "Hi, we got you." And again, it's like that's why the further we get from major arcana strength, the more fully we can see and hear the high priestess. But maybe because the devil came out, because the devil discounted itself, because the devil is discounted, we don't have to be as wary of the jinn. It's like there's no way, and maybe that's because we're in pre-strength. There's no way that the wish could go wrong. Or it's like there's no way that we would make a fool of ourselves in any situation. Right? And that's why the jinn is a significator instead of a part of it at all or whatever. Anyway, I'm trying. Goodness. Oh, well, I'm glad we're here today. Cool. It's also interesting how the position of this necromancer kind of changed because before the necromancer, but maybe that's a part of it. Something about the relationship is noise. Something about relationship is noise. But it's relationships that we have or relationships that we assume between like who does what, maybe. Because I was going to say it's interesting that the necromancer came out earlier as a validator of Anubis because the necromancer in the Spirit Keeper's Tarot is the moon, and in the Revelations edition, you see Anubis holding his scales. Anubis holding the scales of Anubis rather than like Mott holding the scales of Anubis or somebody else holding the scales of Anubis. Like Anubis is coming to judge himself, which might also be part of that, like the head honcho shows up, right? Like you don't get minor circuit court judge number 2052. Like you get Judge Judith Scheidman. You know what I mean? You get Judge Judy. I don't know. But yeah, I was going to say it's interesting that the necromancer almost kind of switched sides like that. But because the noise is the Two of Cups over here, it's still like it works. It makes sense. And again, it's like the noise isn't the actual relationship between something. The noise is our conception of the relationship. It's us believing that something is whatever. Okay, let me take this picture real quick. Oh my gosh, it's almost 9 o'clock. It's fine. It's fine. Oh gosh. Oh wait, let me. Oh, it's already in the aspect that I want. Nice. There we go. Now we can get final cards. So I guess basically, long story short, it may be beneficial to forget what you think you know. But did I not say that recently? If your knowledge, no, the Archangel Commander, that was, what's the healing card in reverse? Oh, I literally have the picture right here. Oop. That was the Four of Cups in reverse with strength upright. And the healer came out in reverse. The healer being in reverse was my tip off that the whole deck was in reverse. It's like because the healing wasn't healing, it's like something is up. But that brought the message of if all of your knowing does not get you where you want to go, then abandon your knowing. If it doesn't produce what it is that you know that it should, then something somewhere is obviously wrong. right? Or it's just like there's more to know or more to learn or whatever. Excuse me. I think it's also interesting because, again, maybe that also plays into like you trained. Oh, okay. So with that Five of Swords, how it was beneficial to do more, to put more effort in. With the marooning, with the brownie, it was beneficial to keep working even if your reward isn't coming. Just keep working. It'll pay off someday. Maybe with the high priestess coming in for minor strength, it's like learning that balance. It's like now it's time to recede. Now it's time to pull back. Now the Five of Swords might be doing way too much again. It's like you don't have to keep. It's like because it's like you're training for the marathon, but the training is harder than the actual race. It's like when you're strength training, if it took a lot of effort, it's like you're not matching effort anymore because you're stronger now. If you get a lot stronger and you match effort, you're going to break something, right? So it's like instead of matching force, because if you match force, it'll be fine. If you apply, I don't know, force, newtons, all I know is newtons. If you, let's not use currency. If you have to squeeze with all your might to close something when you're a baby, but then when you get older, you naturally, hopefully, get stronger. Like you don't have to exert so much effort to close the thing, but you do apply the same amount of force. So, like, let's say the force is a Newton, 1 Newton, because I think a Newton is a unit of force. When you're a baby, it takes a whole lot of effort just for 1 Newton of force. That when you're an adult, it's like you almost have to like it's the inverse. It's inversion, right? You have to be careful to not do too much because 1 Newton is like not even 1/1000th of your power. You know, your power is over 9,000, and we're asking you for one. So tone it down, type of energy. But yeah, it's matching force instead of effort. Because if you match effort, if you like try to close it with all your might, it's gonna crumble in your hands. And maybe it's that because the Five of Swords was the whatever when it was the whatever. Now it's time to pull back because it doesn't require all that anymore. And maybe that's the tricky part too. Because the introduction, the initiation, because it took so much effort to get into it, or because it used to be so hard, or whatever. It's like, let it be easy if it's easy. You know what I mean? So, anyway, Astro Matrix Tarot. Thank you. Interesting. King of Pentacles. Wait, let me do this real quick so I can see on a bigger screen. King of Pentacles came out. If I do the whole Archangel Tarot thing, or not Archangel Tarot, the Spirit Keeper show, this is the Archangel of Mysteries. The Archangel of Mysteries is the one that's like kind of sort of always been there. Like when I opened the deck, it opened to the Archangel of Mysteries. Maybe it'll open and close with the Archangel of Mysteries. Maybe we're already getting a clue or a hint to what comes after the Archangel of Glory. Or maybe not, because the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands. And this comes out after the message of applying as much strength as appropriate. Because this feels like the Archangel Commander was the Five of Swords phase, where we have to exert more effort. It's like it was the most difficult thing that we had ever done in our lives. But after we do it, it's like everything else is kind of easy. Even if we have to do it again, it's easier than it was the first time. So the Archangel Commander, King of Swords, was the initiation. The Archangel of Glory, King of Wands, is the um, studentship, apprenticeship. And then when it returns back to the Archangel of Mysteries, when it goes from the King of Wands to the King of Pentacles, then that's mastery. And that's why the wand is in the hand, but it's sitting as the King of Pentacles. Because it knows how much force to apply. Cool. If that makes sense. If it don't make sense, then maybe it wasn't, maybe it doesn't resonate. Maybe that's your clue that it doesn't resonate for you. Or maybe I'm just not that great at communicating it. But it's also my belief, like I said earlier, that if it resonates for you, your path, your intuition, your discernment, your guides will, if you are open, will have it continue to unfold in a way that is for you. And by if you're open, I also mean like if you're open to what it means to you and for you, rather than like, oh, well, this is how somebody else interpreted it, and that makes sense to me. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. And maybe it makes some bit of sense, but maybe there's more sense it could mean to you in a specific way, right? Anyway, this is not, again, necessarily how I thought this would go, but I also didn't expect for the noise to be so close to the message. It's like that's a space where it's hard to hear, probably. Ace of Cups and the Nine of Cups, Giant Whale and the Kraken. This giant whale almost looks like a dragon, like a water dragon. Cool. What's at the bottom of the deck? The Page of Swords, Headless Horseman. Oh, I've been live for too long. There is a Headless Horseman spread that I'm not gonna pull, but you can find it at the link in the description. I used to use this deck in a series that I would call Build With Me, where I would use the cards to build a spread, like the number of cards, the title of the spread, the theme. I would use this deck to build the spread, and then I would use another deck to like pull it and read it. And I put them, I made a Google Drive so that if anybody wanted to use the spread, they could. And I put the link in the description. So, darn it. I'm like, you got me. I'm not going to read it, but I will. Okay, it's the first link in the description box because apparently there are like 3. I'm just going to pull the cards really quick. Thanks, Eve. I feel like at the beginning they were fun, but by the end I was like, this is too much. What does this even mean? By the end of it, it was like past life into this life. Okay, I'm going to put these back. We're going to pull this real quick. I feel like I wanted to I wish there was a way that I could link the videos to these in the Google Drive. So, in the position of the immobilizing feeling is temperance. Oh my gosh. Not the immobilizing feeling being the significator, like where we are literally at the whole first 2 hours of the video. Temperance is the immobilizing feeling. The sacrifice is the headless horseman. Uh, Dream or vision of freedom is the ghoul, Four of Cups. The message from the divine is the zombie, Eight of Pentacles. The big break is Justice, the Valkyrie. Oh my gosh, I kind of love this. Because both the ghoul and the zombie are undead, and the headless horseman. So the sacrifice, but the Valkyrie is the one who the Valkyrie is the one who almost not truly revives. I mean, yeah. But it's like when the Valkyrie revives someone, they're not rotted flesh and mangled monster. They're not it's almost like when the Valkyrie revives someone, they are their highest potential. Or they're them at their peak. Because, they got stuff to do. The big break is Justice, the Valkyrie. Also, though, I said I wasn't going to read these. Also, our dream is the ghoul. This could be for someone who as this is right now, this could very easily be read as a trauma, for one who's undergone trauma, right? So temperance, healing, getting over it would be the immobilizing feeling. The thing to sacrifice is the headless horseman. Or maybe that's weird because it would just be the head, but it's head over heart. The thing to sacrifice is to be removed from one's emotions. And with the ghoul, it's our dream or our vision of freedom, how we envision being free is that we're this tough, bad, this person who was so whatever that we never would have been hurt in the first place. That's our vision. It's being bulletproof. And not caring about anyone or anything is our vision of freedom because maybe we care so much, maybe we think too much. And spirit, the message from the divine, is the zombie. So both of these are in their death. Both of these are after the thing has happened. Both of these are, but it's the ghoul is still dead. But the zombie is closer to being reborn because the zombie is more human than the ghoul is. And that's why it's easy is for me to read this as a trauma response or about trauma. Because a lot of times we experience trauma, we harden ourselves and we want to be, not a lot of times, sometimes, because different people handle it and react and go down different paths. But that's the one where we get tough and we harden our hearts. But spirit is trying to make us, the message from the divine is to not lose your humanity, basically. And again, this was head over heart. This is us not being in our feelings anymore. So that's why, we want to go full monster. But the big break is Justice is the Valkyrie. And again, it feels like a justice revival is different. Because it's not undeath. It's a second chance at life. It's to be alive. It's to have like non-rotting flesh, basically. So continuing this, the action taken is the pirate. I love that it's this one. This is a Six of Swords energy, but you can see he's a skeleton. The action taken is to let go of all of one's flesh. And then the desire. Hold up, I'm missing cards. Hold up. Hold up. Uno momento. Hold up. This is one. This was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I skipped 6. I skipped the relief and went right to action taken. The relief is Baron Samodi. There's another spread based around him, but I'm not doing it. We're not going there. We're already this far. I had to look him up. I read him. And he has charge over life and death. So what's interesting is like the big break is the relief here. Because both of these, it feels like both of these energies can resurrect something as like basically as human rather than an undead monster. They can make something truly alive again. It's like it's to live again. And then the desire is the vampire. Oof. How did I read this? Or how did I make this? I don't remember. I would say, though, that because the desire is the vampire is more human than the ghoul. I guess zombies eat brains, vampires drink blood. Let's get one more for this desire. It's the Hydra. 8 of Wands. 4 of Swords, 8 of Wands. Maybe the desire is 4 of Swords and not the vampire. It's rest, or to be at rest, to be at peace. To have mental peace, yeah, especially if this is about more like something more traumatic. Or it's like to feel safe. And maybe the desire, because this vampire isn't actively sucking blood, maybe the desire is also to not need to. And so with the Hydra, we see the hero facing the Hydra. And so it's almost like because the desire is to not need, because the desire is to be at rest and to not need to antagonize others or to not need to be antagonistic, to be in a place of peace within oneself, there's something that we have to face. It's like when we desire peace in a chaotic situation, we are also desiring whatever we have to do to make that situation peaceful. Not in the ghoul way, not in a way where we become the monster. But it's like it may be difficult conversations, it may be difficult realizations within oneself. It may be that like there are some things that need to be forgiven and let go of. But yeah, it's like when we desire peace, we are also desiring everything that it takes for that to come to pass. So cool. Goodness, it's been 2 hours. I know I keep saying it. I don't regret it. Whatever needed to come out came out. Would there be another way to read that? I already put all the cards away. I mean, I said I wasn't going to read it in the first place. So I think another thing I like about the pirate with the action taken is that pirates go after treasure. So it's almost like at that point, you'll know what it is that you really want, right? Because I think sometimes when we go through something, we'll think we want one thing. Or, like, let's say that this is the worst situation. But let's say that we are in a situation where we don't have a lot of money. And so because of that, maybe like food, shelter, entertainment, the necessities and luxuries of life are hard to come by. And we think we desire money, but in actuality, we desire food when we're hungry, and a bed when it's time to lay down, and warmth when we're cold, and companionship when we're lonely, and all of these other things. It's like it's not actually money that we want, but it's the things that we would use that money for. And that's why I like the pirate here in the Eight of Cups. I didn't even catch that it was the Eight of Cups. The action taken is walking away from a painful situation. And which one was the message received? That was that Baron Samedi? It's almost like if this were a story, it's almost like there's someone who wasn't ready to die. And they go on a whole adventure in the afterlife and the underworld to return back to life. But maybe it's like the longer they're dead or the longer they're in the underworld, the more they forget about themselves. And so when they find the one who is like the Valkyrie just does it. The big break would be if you win the lottery. And that was like when I made this spread, that was the energy. It's like if you win the lottery, you know. But if you don't win the lottery, um, but it's like, yeah. And so anyway, the one with the power to return you to life is like, I will return you to life, but you have to bring me something that was precious to you when you were alive. I don't know if he necessarily like goes that far. Maybe it's just like bring me something precious to you. And maybe at first you'll try to bring things that are precious to you when you're undeath, and that won't satisfy the Baron. And so then you go like, oh, it has to be something that was precious to me when I was alive because I wish to return to the realm of the living. It wouldn't be a treasure of mine that's in this space of darkness and decay because this isn't where I want to be. And so, in that, to get that treasure, there's this journey of like becoming human again, of remembering everything that was forgotten, of collecting everything that was stripped away as the flesh was rotting in that state of decay. But then it's like by the time you find the treasure, you're basically human at that point anyway. Right? So yeah, I can kind of sort of like that narrative story comes to my mind as like potentially fitting that situation. Anyway, I don't know. I could have just stopped it 3 hours ago. By that I mean I could have stopped it before I was on my way home. Like, oh, I think I'm gonna go live. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. More than I hope you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope that you are having the experience that you wish to have. And if you're not, I hope that you do find yourself having more and more and more of that experience soon. And if you are, I hope that experience for you even more so. Um, you- Steve. I hope that you find whatever you need along your path, journey, and way. And I hope that as you adjust, because I think that's also like a core central theme throughout the many layers of the message or whatever today. It's like as you adjust to a new space, a new environment, into a new capability, as you adjust to a new you, I hope you yourself the patience to expand into it and to explore the space. But I also hope you the wisdom, excuse me, I don't know. I don't know if it's wisdom. I hope you the patience to get to learn the space in you and the relationship between the two. But also, I hope that you can see yourself as you are and see the situation as it is clearly enough to ease up if you have gone through a period of extending tremendous effort because it was appropriate at that time. I hope that when the fight's over, you can lay your sword down. There you go. And you can use, instead of using your spear as a weapon, you can use it to fish, or you can use it to stab holes in the ground, and then you can put seeds in it. I don't know. Whatever your non-berserking totem spirit thing is, I wish you all the best in that after your days of war come to an end. So thank you, Eve, Ed, Holly, and Kirsty. Excuse me, for being here with me today. Thank you to the rest of you. And I will catch y'all when I catch y'all. Maybe, probably won't be tomorrow. Hopefully, it won't be tomorrow. Because either I'll still need to pack or I'll need to be catching up on sleep. But I will be in an airport for a time. I am not going live from an airport. But anyway, no problem. I will catch y'all when I catch y'all. Bye.